Hello and assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have come back with the most awaited second and last part of Maggie's story, The Mill on the Floss. If you want to enjoy the first part, link has been dropped in the description box. Please visit it. Maggie's life has reached to a turning point as she is about to meet Stephen, the fiancé of Lucy. Series of misfortunate incidents is about to start in Maggie's life. Stephen is astonished on meeting Maggie to note her beauty and is attracted towards her. Maggie is instinctively aware that Stephen is attracted towards her, and everybody knows that this is the instinct of every girl, that she can understand what kind of attraction the opposite person is having for her. They all go rowing. While stepping out of the boat, Maggie stumbles and Stephen helps her. Oh my god, what a typical filmy scene is there. She is thrilled at Stephen's touch and the attention from his strong, handsome man. The evening incidents have left her highly strung and deeply affected. She is disturbed by new emotions. She is aware that she has the power to attract men, and she has enjoyed Stephen's admiration. When Lucy comes in and asks for her opinion of Stephen, she tells Lucy that he's too self-confident. Talking of Philip, Maggie tells Lucy that she cannot meet him without Tom's permission, though she wants to meet Philip. Maggie tells the whole story about herself and Philip. Lucy says that she will find some way out and insists that Maggie should meet Philip. She hopes that Maggie and Philip will one day get married. Here, Lucy is revealed to be an essentially affectionate and good-natured but simple girl, not possessing the complex mind of Maggie. After a few days, Maggie goes to meet Tom at his lodgings. When Maggie asks Tom about meeting Philip, Tom first objects. He makes it clear that she will have to give up her brother if she wants Philip. Can you feel some desi vibes in these emotions? He tells, however, that she is not to take Philip as a suitor. Maggie tells Tom to come over to Glegg's the next day, where she and Lucy would also go to tea. Tom declines. Maggie proves to be good to her words. She still loves her brother, but Tom is unable to understand Maggie and sincerely feels that her spirit of independence will land her in trouble. George Eliot's psychological insight into human nature is once again evident in these scenes. Tom has been making business trips for his firm. Maggie has been introduced to high society by her cousin Lucy. Maggie finds a new life quite pleasant and exciting after her miserable and hard years. Philip had been out of the town for a few days, hence the meeting between him and Maggie could not materialize. Stephen, in the meanwhile, shows great attention to Maggie, even though not lessening his attention to Lucy. Maggie feels ill at ease. There is a natural desire to succumb to Stephen's charm. One evening, Stephen comes to the dean's house when Lucy is not at home. He tells Maggie, who is embarrassed at the situation, that Philip has returned. When leaving, Stephen suggests that Maggie might come for a stroll in the garden. She takes his arm as they walk, and his firm support is soothing to her. However, she is upset at the situation and returns to the house and cries, wishing for the quiet days with Philip in the Red Deeps. Stephen goes home trying to fight his mad love for Maggie, which is rapidly growing. Maggie is falling under the spell of Stephen's charm, but she is fully conscious that she is doing wrong to Philip and Lucy. And of course, this situation is bound to lead to disaster. Both Stephen and Philip urged her to marry them without the knowledge of each other's aims. Certainly, Lucy did not suspect Stephen's indifference to her. One day, Stephen took Maggie boating and tried to convince her to run away with him and be married. She refused this offer. Maggie refuses to go any further with him and says that he has taken advantage of her. Maggie realizes that they are much beyond the place where they intended to land and return to home. Stephen declares that they would go back and he would take all the blame upon himself. Maggie now feels that she has been too harsh. She lets the situation take its course. The boat drifts on. Eventually, they sight a passing Dutch vessel. Stephen hails the ship and he and Maggie are taken aboard. Maggie thinks that it is too late to do anything but wait for tomorrow. She, of course, has a fear of society because we must understand that she is living in a Victorian society which was bound to make blames on a female like her. And there were the restrictions in such a society. Among all these entangled thoughts, Maggie falls asleep on the ship with a strong feeling that the next day must bring back the old life of struggle. But when she returned and attempted to explain to Lucy and the others what had happened, Maggie dared the wrath and judgment of her relatives and everybody else in the society. But to her bad luck, they refused to listen to her. Tom, her brother, turned her away from the mill. Never wished to see her again. Mrs. Tulliver resolved to go with Maggie. After all, she was the mother, and Bob Jekin took them in. Maggie slowly realized that people one by one has deserted her. She wondered if there could be love for her without pain for others. George Eliot's account of society's reaction to Maggie's return is realistic in its satire. Mrs. Glegg surprises everyone by supporting Maggie in her misfortune. She sends Maggie a message offering shelter, but Maggie refuses to see anyone except Dr. Ken. Dr. Ken is a very reputed man of the town, and he is a doctor and everybody respects him. Philip, on the other hand, writes her saying that he has understood all her actions and exonerates her completely. He states his desire to serve her if she wants his help anytime. It makes Maggie cry out in anguish that no happiness can make her forget the pain of those who loved her. Maggie's pain increased when, in popular female opinion, Maggie is almost a fallen woman. Dr. Ken finally employs her as a governess to his own children. Maggie welcomes the chance and accepts it. But Dr. Ken's kindly action creates trouble for him. Society puts its own construction on the matter and gossips that Dr. Ken intends to marry Maggie. Dr. Ken is forced to break off his connections with Maggie to protect his reputation. Society's ways are once again satirized in this chapter. Even Dr. Ken has to ultimately yield to society's pressure and gossip. Time passes swiftly, and that autumn a terrible flood ravaged St. Augs. Knowing that Tom was at the mill, Maggie attempted to reach him in a boat. She was worried about her brother, although her brother had left her. She goes to rescue her brother. When Tom sees his sister coming in the boat to protect him, he is overpowered by Maggie's love. He realizes her innate goodness and strength of purpose. To her intense happiness, Tom calls Maggie by his old pet name for her, Maxie. In the early morning, they see huge pieces of wooden machinery floating down towards them. They can do little to get out of the way. Their boat is swamped. Tom, who has dropped his oars, claps Maggie and they go down together. Later, their bodies are found still in a close embrace. 5 years have passed. Little sign of the havoc caused by the flood remains. All the characters living at the time of flood are still alive, except Tom and Maggie. Close to the grave of Mr. Tulliver, a tomb has been erected for the burial of the two bodies of Tom and Maggie. On the tombstone is the inscription, "In their death, they were not divided." Two men visited the tomb now and then. Stephen came in the company of Lucy, but Philip always alone. Philip spends a lot of time among the trees of Red Deeps, remembering Maggie. It is significant that Tom and Maggie, unable to get on together in life, lay undivided in death. Indeed, a death brought them together. And finally, Maggie's great love and her self-sacrifice stands out amidst the grief and pain.